Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with another lore video. Today's topic is the cursed Scarab Lord himself. I'm of course talking about Prince Apophas, so without further ado, let's begin. Apophas was a jealous prince to the throne of Numus in Nehekara. He wished to rule the city above all others, and his jealousy eventually took over, where he slit the throat of the entire royal line while they slept. He then declared himself king and believed that the people would simply follow him, but this was not the case. The people of Numus rebelled as there were still many loyal to the murdered king, and regicide by far is considered the most terrible of crimes in ancient Nehekaran lore, and Apophas would not escape punishment because of his position as prince. Typically, those who attempted to seize the crown were denied the privilege of mummification, and Apophas was no exception. He was entombed alive within a casket full of scarab beetles, who swiftly began to devour him. It is said that his screams could be heard through the very walls of the temple itself, but eventually they subsided. The casket was opened, but there was no trace of the beetles. All that remained was a skull picked clean of flesh. The skull was then inscribed with an ancient Nehekaran curse, which damned his soul for all eternity. And then his skull was thrown to the desert. But the story of Apophas does not end here. You see, upon his death, the god of the underworld, Usirian, claimed his soul, who would be his torturer for all eternity for his crimes. However, as he was noble of birth, he was able to strike a deal with the god of the underworld. He promised that in exchange for his release, he would claim a soul for the god of the underworld. But no meager soul would suffice. He would find a perfect match to his own soul. Usirian agreed to this, and thus Apophas was reborn as the cursed Scarab Lord, a desert revenant whose body is formed by a writhing swarm of scarabs, atop of which is his skull, which looks upon the world in search of his chosen victim. With his body changed, he was granted new abilities which could be useful in battle. He would now be able to travel over rubble and through the gaps of ruins without impediment. His body could also burst apart in an explosion of wings flying across the battlefield before reforming at another location. And when he opens his jaw, a tide of scarabs erupts to devour his enemies. His body can split apart and reform in a moment, and no matter how hard he is struck, the scarabs simply reform over the holes made. Apophas fights with the very same blade he used to end the bloodline of Numus, as he must use this blade to kill his enemy that would eventually replace him, after which he would bind the spirit of his target and take them to the underworld. There the soul is placed on a pair of scales and compared with the soul of Apophas himself. But the scales never balance, as the truth is that no two souls are ever equal. And though he doesn't know it, Apophas has doomed himself to roam the lands for all eternity, as the god of the underworld never intended to release him, and Apophas was to become his unknowing servant until the end of time. And with that, my friends, we've come to the end of our lore video. Thank you so much for watching, and if you did enjoy the video, might I suggest giving the video a like, or even subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out. Thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you all again very soon.